So hello and welcome for the second time to my analysis of Bordertown by Lily Lilac. It's a fantastic looking board so far, and I'll keep it a lot shorter this time. I did waste a lot of time trying to sort of go through a lot of things and extend the time out when it really wasn't needed. Pretty fantastic board, and even if you've got no idea what the fandom is about or what it's like, it's definitely a board that you can get into. So we'll start with the design. It's very clean on the actual forum, which I really like. I like that there's, not many lines here, and the titles are clear. I didn't notice the first time that they had the unique graphics behind them. I think that's really clever and really, really effective. It's a very simple sort of design that's very clear. Fantastic size on the text. I can understand it, which is unusual for me. I'm usually the one sitting there upping up the size and going, can I read it yet? Can I read it yet? But no, this I have no problem with. The user group colours are pretty awesome. I love lots of user group colours. I'm a bit crazy about them. I like to have a lot of different colours, and I like to see them all on at the same time, and I like to muck around with them, and it's very, very, very hard to find a group of colours that work very well together, and goodness forbid if I have to add another user group and work out another colour that works with everything that we've got without having having it look too much like another group, and everyone on RPGD staff can attest to how frustrated I get with that. So yeah, the actual forum wrapper inside of everything looks fantastic. I really love that you've got a small number of affiliates. I don't see the value in having massive lists of them anymore. I probably stick to around about 10. 10 that are run by people I respect. Boards that I respect. It's not so much about getting the traffic anymore as it is about showing who I think other people should be playing with, if not playing on my board. It seems like you've done a very similar thing here. So yeah, that's all very, very good. It's on JSync. I do like JSync. I'm from Envision Free way back. It's basically this. Well, it is the same software, but I think what he's done with it is really fantastic. The patching and the extra mods and all that sort of stuff. It's a really, really good way to go. And if I was to register a free board, I would not go with Envision Free anymore. I would go with JSync. Okay, some criticism. And that's mostly this bit here. For a start, the last three are off that bit of notepaper, which makes them very hard to read, especially on this screen. I dislike, as a rule, underlines. They do look too much like hyperlinks, especially on the internet. It can be hard to get that dual header sort of thing happening when you've got the current population and the races directly underneath. As obviously they both need to be bold. I'd probably suggest making current population larger or turning it into an image, or putting it in all caps is another good way to differentiate it from the rest of the text. But using an underline tends to leave people thinking that they can click it and that it's a link and it's going to take them somewhere else, and they sort of sit there going, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? And clicking like mad, and they get very frustrated. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me that's that stupid, but yeah, definitely these last three down here just need to extend that image a little bit so that you can get all of them on there, and that would look seriously effective. So I love the idea of the notepaper, though. I think that's pretty awesome. The drop-down menus, I'm not entirely sure that you actually need those as drop-downs. Quick links are always well and good. I have quite a few of them myself. But you don't have that big of a sidebar that you really need the then squashed into a quick links bar. You could probably do well with them as an extra box. And the staff, you've only got yourself there at the moment. I would suggest even taking that off completely. It's pretty obvious who you are. Your username is admin Lily. It doesn't really leave that much to be guessed. And it just seems like a bit of an extravagant feature for something that's not that necessary. You know, it's very easy to find who you are. I mean, later on when you've got more staff and things are getting a little bit more complicated by the day, definitely have a link for your staff, or maybe a topic somewhere that gives all of your information, the contact information that you're happy giving out, maybe a little bit about yourself and why you started the board, those sorts of things. But for now, I don't think you need that little drop down yet. But it does, those little arrows there are very effective. I quite like those. And this, the first time I saw this, I didn't actually realise that it changed on the refresh, so we'll just... Come on. There we go. The Spotted in B-Town feature is pretty awesome. I'm trying not to swear on this. I'm really sorry if I do. But yeah, it's a great way to encourage members to get in there and plot with other members and see what's out there, and, you know, of course that moment of, oh my goodness, that's my character on the sidebar, is always very exciting. And yeah, the playlists are sort of gone out, in my experience. I used to like listening to them, just random sites, even sites that I wasn't a part of. I'd go around and listen to them. It was a great way to pick up music. I love music. So I do like to find sites with playlists every now and then and just have a look through what they're pushing. It can be a little bit exclusive for some people who aren't so into that genre of music, depending on what you've got there. I mean, most of my playlists would be Australian music, which fits in very well with what I'm doing, but, you know, it's not music that everyone knows. And Toggle Cbox, I love your manner in here. You're always such a bright and happy person, and so friendly and helpful, and there's not a thing that I've found on here that doesn't reflect that side of you, which is really, really awesome. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's not skinned, which is probably why you've put it on the toggle, but, you know, I find it quite hard to deal with sidebar C-boxes. I find that's way too thin, but again, that's personal preference. Everything that I say here, just sort of take it with half a handful of salt, because I am telling you exactly what I'd do if this was my board, and obviously it's not. But yeah, I generally have my C-box down underneath the forums. I find it's much easier to keep track of things, to have a lot more messages visible, which is important to me anyway. You may even be able to get a skin that sort of, yeah, that matches there. It's almost as if it was the same one. Goodness. It would look quite effective there, but, you know, again, that's up to you. And, you know, you could even put these in a separate box on their own here. Do whatever, really. Okay, so onto the actual layout of the board. The graphics are so cute. These little sketchy bits of graphic I really love. This is taking me back to word art days. The gradients on the text. It does look a little bit rough around the edges, just from a sort of design perspective, but you know, there's a lot going on in this design, especially either side of the forum. The forums themselves are quite clean, as I've already said, but, you know, it's the background isn't something that I would have chosen myself, but it all does fit in with the theme of the site, which is what's important. So you've got your welcome at the top, that's always a good way to go. Main events second. I love when main events are in a special forum on their own. It makes them so much easier to find. Everyone knows where they are. I struggle to find my own threads half the time. Your different sections, and they're quite substantial sections, especially for a new board. But you've made good use of sub-forums and the different areas. And the advertising at the bottom, which is always good. I see a lot of advertising boards at the start of forums. I don't quite understand that. I want someone to come and have a proper look. You know, log on, oh yep, cool. Alright, let's advertise. And, you know, by that point they've sort of got an idea of what we are. And, you know, they get to see who's online and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, getting back down into the really small stuff, you've got your welcome guide, your news, chat and citizen records, all of that really important information stuff and out of character stuff is really useful to have at the top there. It sort of makes it really clear from the start that you're out to create a community, not just a game that you're going to be the Lord High Emperor of. So what I was really impressed with when I first looked at it was actually all of this. And this looks, when you first look at it, it just like, oh my goodness, if I join here, I'm going to have to read all of this, and that's overwhelming. But then when you go and actually have a look at things, it's so well laid out, and so everything's linked through. And it's very informative, and it makes you want to go through and just read everything to make sure that you haven't missed anything. You know, you know where you can go based on what sort of character you are, and it's just so comprehensive. Do-it-yourself cooking. Avoid using a living organism unless you know what you're doing or can take lessons from someone who does. Sounds like something that you should have describing my cooking, actually. Proceed with caution. You got your cannons list, which are mostly open. And they're just good starts for characters there. And Guide 12s is, you know, especially when you're working with a fandom, you need to know what you're going with. It's really, really hard to pin down elf types into anything particular. There's so many different types depending on what canon you're working with. Are they Lord of the Rings elves? Are they Harry Potter elves? Are they, you know, are they elves that have been made up? Oh, goodness, are they Pratchett elves? Pratchett elves are the hardest to deal with, I think. This map, I love this map. I want one of these. It's so cute. It makes me want to hand draw one myself. Of course, I could never do anything quite as good as this. I'm a pretty shocking artist, all in all. And then, yeah, not only do you have this, but you've got all of the explanations of the areas according to district, which is just fantastic. It's a great little way of letting people know what's out there and available for play. I really like it. You know, there's even an employment guide here. So yeah, you know how to get a job, everything from thievery to docks and shipyards and drugs. And of course, rules. One of the backbones of every single board that I know. I don't know many boards that survive well without them, It's just too much. The internet is a wild place. You need to have some sort of ground rules, or at least that's what I reckon. Have fun rule, first and foremost, is a good choice. And you are not required to read the books to join. That is another really important, like really, really important thing to have there, especially as you're pushing such an obscure fandom. You really want people to know that they can sort of log on and get the help that they want and have fun with you and familiarise themselves with the canon as they go along, rather than feeling obliged to read everything and then contemplate joining your board. So yeah, registration of characters, threads and posts and graphics, so they're the pretty main sections. And just, yeah, the good explanation of terms that aren't so common outside of the RP world. But yeah, the plot and history is another one that looks like it's going to be really, really heavy, but you've got these short paragraphs that are just so easy to digest. And it gets the point across really simply in a really, really easy to read way. It's not an overwhelming amount of text. Probably if you'd had all of that in one post, I would have turned around and said, oh, but do I have to read it? I don't know, like it feels a little bit like homework then. But the way it's broken up here with the main headings, lots of space around your paragraphs. It's a brilliant layout. I couldn't commend you higher for it, actually. But this is possibly my favourite thing ever. So you got a new kid's guide to B-Town, which is it's a summary of everything that we've looked at so far, and links all of the important topics, the rules, runs you through the application process. Just open that one. Getting started. And then, if you're feeling overwhelmed, this isn't something that I've seen done a lot. Pre-registration reading makes people nervous. It's, you know, quick start guide. So you've given them a basic history and the most basic essential documents. And then a pointer to where they're going to make their first thread. It is such a fantastic idea. I feel pretty awkward playing canon games at all, even if they're as loose as this one is. For someone like me who's unsure of the fandom, doesn't really know what they're doing, and for anyone who doesn't know what they're doing as a player, that's going to be an invaluable resource. And yeah, I highly recommend anyone who can do this with their board to do it as well. It's just brilliant. So we've got the application up here, and it's very, very simple. That's all of it just there on the screen there. And it's you've got a few paragraph sections and fashion style or lack thereof. That also describes me, lack thereof. But yeah, it's got enough there to jog the imagination and to sort of prompt what you want from your members, but also gives them a lot of freedom to add anything that they want. And there's nothing hugely out there like weight. I always really struggle with things like height and weight. I'm the worst person for estimating things. Do you want it in feet in inches? Do you want it in centimeters? Do you want kilos or pounds or, you know, bananas? I don't know. And you've got some lovely hints in there as well. You know, flaws and weaknesses and strengths and overall demeanour. It is pretty comprehensive, without being picky, I think, which is, it gives your members a lot of freedom. So, plotting area. I don't think I actually looked at this the first time around, so it's just as well I'm doing it again. Okay. Okay, so you've got a very strict sort of plotting area. So you want people who have got specific ideas. Okay, characters starting businesses. You can apply for a board of your own. Good plan, characters who have been around for a month. I've got so many old boards lying around that aren't used anymore because of things like that, but you know, it's all good. Oh, here's one that's been picked up. So, a three-day event, you know, it's all good. Pockets will be there. Some discussion on that. That's always good. Now, I do love this posted up sort of, these are things that could happen, but no real set, you know, this is what's going to happen, we just need to write it now. I like that sort of random, see where things go, let it all happen. Don't stress about it. Just let it be. Let it decide what it wants to do. So yeah, that's a really great plotting area. It definitely encourages people to come in with their ideas and say, hey, I've got this fantastic idea and I want to share it with people and let's talk about it for a little while and get everyone really excited with what we're going to do. I wouldn't be adverse to opening it up to say things like, okay, here's my character who has some ideas. I do see some value in that as well. You aren't always going to get people who are all, oh yeah, I've got this fantastic idea, let's go do it. You do get those people who are like, oh, you know, I don't really know what I want to do with this character, but you know, this is who they are. Does anyone have some ideas of other characters that they might, you know, work well with? You do end up with a lot of that immediate push for, you know, they're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend now, or, you know, that sort of thing. But if you make it really clear that that's not what you're going for, you can sort of steer people in the right direction with the whole striking up plot ideas and having that happen in here. But yeah, that's really fantastic. I like that. This is the poop. I was really amused when I first saw this. It's a notice board, and I love the graphics. I really love the graphics. But I really want to know whether this is a canon name for something or whether it's just something that's been put in there. I want to know that about a lot of things, actually. We've got the poop. And there's a lot of forum names here that I'm like, oh, that's awesome. There's Snappin' Wizard's Surplus. So you'll have to let me know if these are canon or if they're things that you've made up. That one there. That made me laugh. Okay, so we'll have a look at your advert. It's nice and easy to find. Really clear, really simple.
The bottom line of text there gets a little bit hard to read towards the end. I know what it says, so I'm not struggling too much with it. But for anyone who hasn't seen it before, they might have a bit of trouble. And for the benefit of guest forums where it doesn't have the ability for guests to post images, you might want to add a text-based headline as well, just so that you've got all your bases covered. I do like that you've got this subline that's sort of, okay, we're no word count urban fantasy and all threads are open. It really states what your community is going for and what you're expecting of members. And then, of course, you've got the standard links down the bottom to the newbie guide and the home, which is always good. The four things that you really want to point out to anyone who's coming onto the board, and it's just a really short, sweet, clear advert, and the longer they get, the less people read them, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm struggling to remember what I covered last time and what I'm doing this time, and so yeah, useful links for character creation. More on Bordertown itself. Character names. I am always struggling to find character names that don't start with A. Find my face. You do need to change that link, actually, because that's not on Unserious anymore. But that's all good. I'm really excited to see that it's linked. And so we've got an application here. And see, it's a very flexible application. It definitely gives a lot of information. Links to the introduce, spot in B-Town, plot area. That's all really fantastic. Oh, other active digger characters. I like that. That is really good. Being able to link to characters that are existing is a really good idea. I don't know if I could personally handle editing the documents so often, but no, it's a fantastic idea, especially while you're getting things out and about. So I can't remember if I've said this already, but the small number of affiliates, I really like that. You've got your credits down there, and I really can't find much fault with it. It's mostly tiddly little things that I probably wouldn't do in the way that you have, but they're mostly design things. For me, it's a very busy layout, but as long as the text is clear, I'm pretty cool with that. But yeah, it might be busy, but it's also very effective. The B-Town thing, I love this. I love the random refresh member thing. It does make people feel very involved and part of the board. And yeah, it may be an obscure fandom, but so long as you keep pushing it, this is going to be a success. Because you've got so much there for even people who have no idea what they're doing. I do feel that if I read some of your information there properly, I could probably play a character here quite confidently. And I don't usually get into many other worlds. I do find them very, very hard to wrap my head around, and I get a little bit, oh my goodness, I'm going to screw something up, and they're going to be like, that's not how it's done. And so yeah, for me to say that I'd be comfortable playing here is a big thing. And of course, knowing you from RPGD, Lily, I can say with every confidence that you're going to be a fantastic admin here. You've got such a great manner, such
you treat people with such respect. And that's probably the other thing that I really wanted to point out here is, even in your rules, it's really, really easy to sound like an absolute douche when you're writing your rules. But these are polite, they're clear, you've made your stance very firm, you're very firm on, serious issues will be handled by staff. But at the same time, there's a lot of respect there for your members that, I respect that. And yeah, that everything from the images to the way that you've presented it is really fantastic. And all I can say is just keep pushing it and don't give up, because there's been a lot of love put into this board, and I would absolutely hate to see you give up on this, because it's such a fantastically put together board. So yeah, all the best of luck with it. I hope that this has been in some way helpful. I haven't really had too much to say that was negative, but yeah, that's unfortunately all I've got for you. So hopefully that recorded this time, and I will catch you around.